What's going on, people? This is Off Color Discussions. You can go to offcolordiscussions.blueberry.net, subscribe to the podcast, leave a comment. There's a little bio. You can read about us, read about what we like, things that we're into, what sometimes we're going to talk about. It's just how it is. Anything that we have coming up or that's already happened is going to be on that front page. That's our advertising spot, so check it out. Follow us on Twitter at OC Discussions for your chance to win a $25 Visa gift card. You won't win if you don't follow, man. It's just that simple. Leave a review on iTunes. The better rating that we get, the better we'll get for sponsorship and be able to do bigger things and bring you guys more exciting stuff. But we got a lot of exciting stuff planned already. So with that, this week on the podcast, we have the return of Troy Rathke, back from his Vision Quest West, A Mission to Live. This adventure was too big to fit into one episode. It's massive. And I don't want to have to cut out anything. So part 1 this week, part 2 next week, and then we'll get to 3 and possibly 4 at a later date. We had an awesome time talking. It's truly inspiring to listen to. It was hard to talk. Like, it was just so jaw-dropping and just sitting there in awe, listening to the synchronicity of stuff that happened that further backs up the narrative that we believe in, that we're all connected. No matter how you cut it, we're all connected, and it's through love. I don't know how else to say it. It's through love. We are all connected. Eventually, I think we'll figure it out. But with that, just know it's going to be a massive episode, and it's awesome. After that, we have a song from Doc Todd, the real Doc Todd on Twitter. Check him out. He's a Navy combat medic that is trying to help veterans through the creative arts, through music, hip-hop, design, graphic design. Just help them live with artistic creativity. His story is awesome. I'm going to put his link to his interview from CNN. I appreciate the fact that he allowed me to feature his song. It's awesome. So with that being said, why don't we just get into it and, man, enjoy the story. It only works out because of shit that's been going down lately. That I want to explain that my fascination with mental states, as far as stuff that I've been through, stuff that people I know have been through. Just yesterday, somebody I know very closely attempted to take their life, and now is getting help and stuff like that. But it's like, dealing with that, talking with them and knowing what they're going through. And then 10 years ago, my brother went through some stuff and ended up like just seeing stuff. So I get like when veterans come back from war, because I mean that's a thing all its own. Like you're never going to be the same coming back.
But I think you can be better. I think you can be superior to what that version of yourself was.
Oh, for sure. I think you just need to learn, though.
You got to stop living in that. That story's over, man. That chapter's closed. Let the next chapter begin. But they don't. They constantly look back to the details of the last chapter and think, I'll never be cool again. I'll never be like I once was. Fuck, I'm fat and ugly now and I have a shitty beard, but I'm going to keep it anyways because I'm a veteran with a flag hat and tattoos. But they don't realize that, dude, just fucking look in the mirror and tell yourself you love you and that I forgive you for what you did or didn't do. Because a lot of times veterans these days are mad at themselves for what they didn't do while they were in the military. I didn't see action. I joined the military to go to war and fight the bad dudes. And then half of them realize this war is a fucking farce anyways. It's a giant racket and they're just a pawn in a game of chess, And they're like, oh man, I got used, I got played. I didn't even see any action anyways. I joined because I wanted to see action. I didn't see action. But I tell everybody I'm a combat vet, And I got my combat action ribbon because mortar fire hit near me, but I'm not really a combat action ribbon. So that guilt weighs on them. It's a complex situation, man. It's more than just come home because you saw some crazy shit and you want to kill yourself. Because I know plenty of dudes who've gone through some crazy ass shit and gotten parts of their body blown off and they're cool. Like they're chill. They're like, what's up, dude? Like, how are you? But I also know some in the same category that are fucking alcoholics and ruining their lives. But my point is, it's very dynamic. It's constantly shifting. So every person is different. However, I'm telling you, I truly believe in my soul that nature is a neutral ground for every one of those dynamic environments. I think that you get someone in nature, you get them thinking about that moment and not that past, however dynamic that past is, whether it's because they did or didn't do something or whatever, you know what I mean? They're in that moment. You get them rock climbing. You teach rock climbing to someone who hasn't rock climbed before, they're probably going to pee a little bit in their pants, and they're going to be scared as shit going up the mountain, focusing on every little piece of granite or whatever rock they can get under their fingertips. That's all they're thinking about. It's terrifying in the moment, but it's so rewarding. It's called type 2 fun. And I think that's how you get people out of that past, that rearview mirror, constantly looking over that, you know, that shame and guilt, and you get them living in the current moment and realizing, wow, that I'm capable of some cool shit, you know?
How long were you gone?
A month.
30 days exactly?
Like literally to the day, yeah. 29th to 29th.
And where'd you start? So you left here
on Friday,
August 28th.
Well, yeah, the night of the 28th or whatever date that was. It honestly, dates don't even matter anymore. It was just one of those like, all right, well, we're like 4 days in it. We're in Ohio. I'm just kidding. But like it took us a solid week to get to Denver, and it was you know, it wasn't anything crazy.
Was that your first stop? Like you didn't hit anything up on the way?
The plan we had completely changed night 3. Like, wow. First off, we thought the RV was ready to leave Thursday. The whole gym came and had us this big going away party for us on Thursday. And it wasn't even close. Like, nothing was packed. Nothing was ready. Like, we didn't even function check the water tank and, like, the gray tank and black tank. So we didn't know if this thing was ready to hit the road. We just knew that mechanically and aesthetically it looked beautiful and was ready to run. Or so we thought. And so we hit the road, had a solid first 24 hours. I think we got to, like, Ohio. Or I don't even remember, honestly. It doesn't matter. Because we just drove as long as we could. I would sleep while Mike was driving. Mike would sleep while I was driving, you know? And, interestingly enough, we get to, I want to say, I don't remember where it was. Almost Iowa, like almost the Iowa area, kind of like Illinois. And we start experiencing some interesting issues. Like it starts sputtering a little bit. So like, all right, what the hell is this all about? So this forced us to pull over, right? So we pulled over, we kind of stopped. It felt like the engine bay was a little warm. We didn't really know what was going on. And so we just chilled for a little bit and decided to go swim in Lake Michigan. Nice. And which is pretty cool. Like we just jumped in the water. It was a cool experience because it doesn't look like a lake. It looks like an actual ocean. Like it looks like an ocean. The water's colored differently. The waves come in like actual waves, not like this, you know, silly little lake waves. You know, like the tide that just goes, kind of splashes on your toes a little bit. It was like legit waves, and like people were like boogie boarding them in, you know, and so anyways, we go back to the truck and we starts right up and we go and we start heading west and we get to Iowa. We pull into this random spot in Iowa. I don't remember what town it was, but there was some weird interactions with some locals. I'm pretty sure like a psychopath or maybe potentially even like serial killer of men like talked to me. It was weird, really, really weird vibe. It was one of those conversations where I got done with that and I was like, was that dude just scouting us out to like kidnap us and kill us and put us in his fridge? Like it was a weird conversation, man. And he kept talking about his I don't want to know. It was this consulting guy he worked with, and like he called him his colleague, but it sounded more like he was like his controller. It was fucking weird, man. But anyways, so we get to Iowa, we pull in. I had to take a piss. We had to get some gas, and we had a great like routine going on. We would switch every time we had to switch gas. So it was like every 3 hours we would switch, and it worked out really well. Pull in, I go inside, come back out. Mike's like, something's leaking, and I look over, and it's just dumping antifreeze, like. Just so much coolant, more coolant than I even thought this thing had in it. It was on the ground. Wow. And I'm like, oh, dude, that sucks so much ass. So I walk over and we figure out where you know. Actually, I sent a video to Halim. Thank God I had Halim and Mark on my side because they were walking me through everything. They're like, dude, calm down. It's all right. This is gonna happen. Like, and it's funny because one of the podcasts I've been listening to, I want to say it was the Normal Cast or it's a climbing podcast, and they said there's a Yvon Chouinard quote, which is the founder of Patagonia. And he says the adventure. No, who was it? I think it was him or Royal Robbins or someone like that. They say the adventure never begins until something goes wrong. And at this point, I was kind of like, "Whoa, this is weird. Like something just went wrong." You know, we didn't plan for this. We put in a brand new radiator, so this wouldn't happen. But what happened was on the heater box to the left of the radiator, where the coolant runs out of the box, I think, and into another hose, it just started pissing. So we like kind of stuck our hands down there, and it looked like it was put together with like silly putty. Like someone just like slapped on some not even epoxy, just like literally like some like modeling clay on the bottom of this little contraption. And I was like, all right, that's definitely not going to hold. So we went and bought some epoxy, tried the epoxy thing, didn't work. So I wound up bypassing the heater box. So I just like took the tube from the actual engine of the you know the compartment of the engine and ran it to the radiator and just bypassed that whole cycle of. So we had no AC, which didn't even work anyways, and we had no heat, which we weren't going to use. What wound up happening was we fixed that. We get on the road. We pull over just to see how it's doing, and we notice another leak in our lower radiator hose. And we're like, dude, it was like a pinhole leak, you know, like a pretty good gushing pinhole leak, but it wasn't like pouring like the other one was. It was like a constant steady stream, just like smacking you in the face whenever you open the engine bay. So meanwhile, it's a Sunday at this point, right? So nothing's open. So we're like, what? Because what happened was we slept in our truck.
Middle America.
Yeah, right? Yeah, seriously. So we pull over in this little side of like middle of nowhere, and I want to say it was near Stewart, Iowa, Stewartstown, Iowa. And this old timer pulls up. He's like, "Oh, what'd you boys get into?" That's what he says to us. And this dude's like straight country, like has a couple teeth, like real thick Coke bottle glasses that he's probably had since the 70s. He's like, "Oh, what'd you boys get into?" I'm like, "Oh, we got a small leak in our lower radiator hose." He's like, he like looks in the engine bay for a minute, and he goes, "Looks like you got a lower radiator hose leak." I'm like, "Yeah, we just said that." But I come to realize I don't think he could keep up with how fast I talk, being from the Northeast, and also just talking the way I talk in general. Like, he couldn't keep up. He had no idea what I was saying. I might as well have been speaking Japanese, and he was like, "Yep, that's what you did." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, anyways, he confirms our theory, and he's like, "All right." So he pulls out this old Nokia like tough phone, you know, like the old school flip phones that were like rugged, and he's like. He does the thing where he pulls his glasses down a little bit, like punches in a number, and he's like, "Hold on, gentlemen," and he gets on the phone, and he's like, Bill, yeah, Bill, hey, this is, I forget his name, I think it was Mike. He's like, "This is Mike here, you know, you open today?" He's like, "No, I didn't think so." So anyways, sets up this, he pulls out a notebook out of his pocket, writes directions to Napa. I'm like, they're not gonna be open. What's he talking about? Writes down this guy, his name is Bill Heckman, writes down his phone number. It starts like literally hand wrote me directions. I'm like, no one does that, dude. Like, that's not a thing anymore.
Tell you where to go.
So that was the first red flag. Not even a red flag, just kind of a cool little moment. And he's like, "You're gonna go down here. This guy Bill is gonna open up Napa for you. He's gonna get the belt or the hose that you need, and then he'll help you put it in." So okay, cool. That's awesome. Let's go. So load up the radiator with water, hit the road, drive down to Stewart, take the left, and I'm pretty confident we caused an accident. I literally think, not because we were like driving like haphazardly, but I think someone was literally gawking at us. They were looking at our RV as we drove by them, and they rear-ended the car in front of them. I'm not even joking. It was the most bizarre interaction, because I remember looking out the window while I was driving, seeing this dude literally looking at me, the young kid too, was probably 16, 17 years old, like probably just got his license too, super excited to be driving daddy's truck, looks at me, and he's like, just, you know, eyes kind of open, mouth partially open, looking like a mouth breather. And he's like, and I just see, and then he just slams this car hard. And I was like, okay, we're going.
You had solar panels.
I have a hose to change.
Yeah,
so he probably looked like a spaceship, dude. He's like, what the hell is all that shit?
Dude. So I think, plus, I think they don't really, I mean, these towns in Iowa that we were going through were like populations of 200-300 people. So like they know when someone's out of town in the area, you know what I mean? And especially because we were coming through town instead of just getting off the highway and staying at like the rest stops, which were just past where he got in the accident. So I think it was weird. It was a weird dynamic for him. I think he was like, "What the hell is this doing here?" You know. And meanwhile, I'm driving with long hair and a giant puffy beard and stuff. But anyways, so we get to Napa. This dude shows up. The funniest thing, doesn't turn the lights on, and he's like, "You got cash?" I'm like, "Yeah. What's up?" He's like, "Oh, I'm not turning on the internet. It's dial up. It takes a while." I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I'm like, "Holy shit!"
You might have found the only place in America that still uses
my
dial-up.
father-in-law had it until a couple of years ago.
That's so weird.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
They still offer that shit?
Oh yeah. Well, he had it until they're like, "No, you gotta. We're done."
No.
And he had
we'll pay you to upgrade.
Like DSL. I'm like, oh my god, just pay for the fucking internet.
Yeah,
just pay for cable internet.
Stingy shit.
Just pay for the internet.
It's almost the same.
Yeah. So yeah, then we get to this Napa. We get the belt or the hose. We go back and he's like, "Oh, I'll see you boys. Sorry about what's going on with you." And I'm like, "Oh, you're not helping us?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "What?" He starts getting mad. I'm like, "All right, hey, cool, thanks." So we go to the gas station down the street, right? And like, it's like a pilot gas station, travel stop thing. We pull in. I'm like, "Oh, how hard can it be?" Right? I got this.
We're changing a hose.
So I get underneath. I kind of figure out where the hose clamps are. I'm like, "Oh, it's 2 hose clamps. I can do this." Pop one off, covered in antifreeze and water. Just gushes all over my hair, right? And I'm kind of like, whatever. I kind of like laugh it off, no big deal. I take off the other hat, and it was warm too. It wasn't like I didn't let it rest long enough, so it was like kind of a frustrating interaction. But I finally get this thing fixed, and I get it on, and there's no leak at all. We start running up, and all of a sudden I look over on the other side, and on the drain plug for the radiator, it starts leaking, like drip, 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 drip. So I'm like, all right, I'll just screw that back in. It's stripped, just keeps spinning. So I'm like, what the fuck? So anyways, At that point, we're like, dude, let's just wedge this thing in there as hard as we can and just go. Just drive and see where we get to. Okay, cool. So we just start driving. And we get to this little town called Adair, Iowa. And I pull over. I think we got gas at this point. And it's leaking pretty strong. It's like legit leaking at this point. And I was like, all right, that's not good. We should probably find somebody. Go to start the thing back up because we had a gas station, right? It doesn't start up. I'm like, oh shit, this is not good. So I call AAA. They don't tow, or they were like, oh, we'll send a tow out your way, but it's going to take a couple hours. I'm like, fuck, dude. I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll just drive it to the what's it called in the morning. It's not a huge deal. I'll figure it out. So we just like fill it up with water, and we found a campsite. This is the first camping we had done, like legit, like hook up the camp, the RV and stuff. And it was awesome, dude. We pulled in this little campsite, so beautiful, like really remote. There's probably like 10 other campers in the whole place. And there was this really cool pond that was just way bigger than I thought it was going to be. And it was right at sunset, right at the golden hour. Really kind of a cool night. And I kind of got this message where I was like, just slow down, man. Like, you're going to get wherever you need to get to. Just slow down. Like, stop going so fast. Like, stop stressing. Because I was stressing about not being in Salt Lake City. And just then, I think Mike was like, hey, can we go to Denver? My cousin Max, who was supposed to come on the trip a long time ago. And then, like, that lasted like a day. And he's like, he's in Denver now. We can go stay at his house. I was like, dude, let's go. Like, let's go check out Denver. And so that changed everything that night, you know? Next day, we get up. We drive into town. Mind you, it was 9 a.m. because they opened at 8 a.m. But we just hung out around the campsite and cleaned up and stuff. Get to the spot at 9 a.m. Adair, Iowa. 700 people. 90-something degrees. No water, highest point in fucking Iowa. Jesus. So we pull in. This guy's like, yeah, you're gonna need a new radiator. I'm like, what about just fixing the plug? He's like, no, man. He's like, that plug is stripped from the inside. Like,
oh, what the fuck?
He's like, the plug itself is fine.
Plug, it's the
threads on the inside.
Damn.
I'm like, oh my god. How long is it gonna take? Well, I have to overnight it. I don't have the part here. I'm like, it's 9 a.m., dude. I'm in Adair, Iowa. Like, what the hell's going on? He has my whole radiator like ripped apart. I'm like, all right, man, cool. So what can I do? He puts a little bit. He puts the radiator, plugs it back up or whatever. He tells me to drive down to the city park. I'm like, what's the city park? They had like showers, they had bathrooms, they had an RV hookup, all shaded off area. It was like the perfect spot. Like we were meant to break down here because it had everything we needed. So we just pulled in there, just hung out, set up my hammock, just chilled for a while, you know. And later that afternoon, this crazy lady Jane shows up and and she's like, "You guys, what are you guys doing here?" And we're broke down for a day. We got to get our radiator replaced tomorrow. You know, no big deal. And I'm like, "Do you know there's a grocery store nearby?" So we get in this lady's car. Now she was crazy, and I don't want to get into it. I don't want to try to sound like I'm judging her, but she was like really crazy energy. She called herself Gypsy Jane.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So she was like a different person. She was fun. It was super fun, but she was like driving all over the road, looking in the back seat while I'm in the back seat, like just like scaring me a little bit. I don't know. It was a weird experience. But anyways, so she gives us a ride. We grabbed some dinner. We come back and made some I think we made like steak and stuff. Like it was delicious dinner, awesome dinner, and. Next day, we get up. The guy replaces it in 40 minutes, dude. 40 minutes to put in the brand new radiator. And we hit the road. At this point, we're like, all right, we'll get to Denver. Let's go to Denver. Let's get there. Now, while we had broken down in Iowa, there was a storm that swept through Nebraska. Now, our goal originally, before breaking down, was to get to Colorado that evening, which we could have done. We had the time. But things kept slowing us down, you know? And we were going to meet up with my old business partner, Chris Morey, who we saw the day before on the road.
Yeah, I saw the picture.
It was so crazy.
Yeah.
And so we were going to go hang out with him in Denver and, you know, go grab dinner and wish him on his way because he's going to Hawaii and he's living the dream out in Hawaii right now. He's a government contractor. He's a welder for the government, like just kicking ass, right?
Oh, wow, huh?
Yeah.
What a change from opening up a gym with you to that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's crazy because I was a little bit of a douchebag to him at points in my life. As I was to many people, but mostly him. And we just saw philosophically different on business and stuff, and it just didn't work out. He's a great dude. I love him. He's an awesome guy. It just, at that phase in my egotistically driven life, I had to be in charge, you know? And that's not who I am anymore. At that point in my life, I had to be the alpha. And so I did whatever I had to do to make sure I was the alpha. And like I said, we had some philosophical differences from business and where the direction the gym should have gone. But that was no reason to like completely remove him from the equation. I think we could have come to a middle ground. And anyways, long story short, he's a great dude, doing great things right now, living life. He posts pictures from Hawaii every day, and I'm very, very excited for him. He texts me and he goes, "Did you guys get caught in that storm in Nebraska?" I was like, "No, what storm?" He's like, "Dude, there was like cars flipped over on the side of the highway. There's like massive golf ball size hail."
Jeez.
So the RV like slowed us down and like kept us out of this storm.
There you go.
Which is really crazy.
Yeah.
Happens again in Nebraska. We pull in to get some food from Walmart. Can't start the RV back up. So we spent a night in a Walmart parking lot. Just as this was happening, west of us, there was a massive hailstorm that was crushing cars again. The next morning, the RV starts right back up. We drove it to a dealership. They're like, "Yeah, we don't see anything wrong, but you're probably going to need a new fuel pump." All right, cool. Replace the fuel pump. Hit the road. Get to Colorado, Crook, Colorado. Welcome to Colorado, right? I'm expecting like cool mountains and whatever. No, it was like grass prairies. And
You gotta go
further in.
So we pull into this gas station, and we literally choked out and stalled on the in the entryway to this gas station, dude. It was fucked. And so what winds up happening is we're sitting there. We call this local mechanic. He's like, I'm not coming down there, but I'll walk you through how to figure out if it's the air filter or the fuel filter, maybe. All right, dude, whatever. I don't know anything about trucks, especially old ass engines like this. Has me rip apart the mid engine bay cover, go inside and start looking for the fuel filter. And I don't even know what a carburetor is, let alone a freaking fuel filter, right? So this is happening. The lady that runs the gas station comes out. She's like, hey, everybody, we got a hail warning. The fuck, this is three times in 3 days they're saying hail. And the RV's been broken down all 3 times. So we go inside, and fucking hail crushes things, dude. Just crushes everybody. This car pulls in right at the end of the hailstorm. It's a nice 2015 or maybe 16 Mercedes SUV. Oh. So dope. Such a sweet car. This dude gets out covered in tattoos, looking like a white little John, right? But with no hair, bald. He had an owl tattooed on his third eye right here. It was actually one of the cooler things I've ever seen. Because I was like, why do you have an owl tattooed there? And he's like, infinite wisdom, man. I was not expecting that response.
Dude,
I was not expecting that response. I was like,
no.
I was expecting because owls are fluffy and they cool. You know what I mean? And he's like, infinite wisdom. And I was like, all right, dude, I can get down with that. And that's kind of cool, you know?
Yeah.
And he had like Arabic tattoos across his entire like hairline, where it would be a hairline. It was pretty cool. He was a cool dude. His Facebook name is Brian Marsh, but he told us his name was Richard. So it was a really weird situation. But he's like, y'all get caught in that hailstorm? We're like, nah, man, we've been inside. We're good. He's like, come look at my car, man. My windshield's fucked. Walk outside. He has like a dinner plate size smash in his windshield.
Dude,
But that wasn't even the worst part, man. There were hundreds of dents on the roof and hood, right? So hundreds. That's a totaled vehicle. Insurance companies will total that.
When I lived
Dude, he didn't have insurance.
When I lived in Pennsylvania, out at the Berkshire Mall, I was at work, like far away from there, but they had like the hailstorm with a whole mall parking lot, cars destroyed,
gone, man,
from golf ball size hail, just ripping through them, like it just. Sure. But hundreds of cars in that town, like at that mall, got nailed.
Yeah, so when we got to Colorado, Denver, I'm sorry. Like the houses there had just got were all being redone. Like there was like billboards, literally giant billboards that were like, need a new roof?
Yeah.
Because the hailstorms had fucked up. Like it looked like machine gun fire went through the fences.
Can we just address the fact that your RV has some seriously good karma?
Dude, Buffy was looking out for us, man. Her name was Buffy and she was looking out, man.
That's some shit right there.
So,
3 days, 3
yeah,
storms.
literally. Like that was
good thing you had solar panels. I mean, fuck all the other shit, but the solar panels were screwed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we charged all of our shit on those solar panels, man. It was so cool, dude. Like having those was such a luxury. But what's crazy is the person we sold the RV to is putting more in and like converting like everything into solar power. We still needed the generator if we wanted to run the AC, but she's converting everything to batteries. It's so cool. And she's making a swamp cooler. Like I didn't even know what that was, but it's a way of hooking up a fan with like a cold, wet object behind it, so that like it drops the temperature like up to 30 degrees. It's cool. So cool. It's like a ghetto thing from like the bayous of Louisiana, right? So, but anyways, so this dude's like, "Yo, I don't even have insurance on this thing. I'm in between insurance companies," and we're like, "That fucking sucks, man. That really sucks, dude."
Yeah, that sucks.
He's like, "It's all right, though. I'll just file a claim later on and just say, that it happened when I had insurance." I'm like, "That's insurance fraud." Like, I'm gonna pretend you didn't just say that, And so yeah, like it was a very interesting welcome to Colorado experience. And then he presumed to smoke a fat blunt and disappeared out into nowhere. In front of me on Facebook as Brian Marsh. But anyways, so that happens. After the storm passes, after this dude like kind of vents to us for a while, like why he vented to us, I have no idea, but it was an awesome experience. It was a cool experience. I really walked away being like, that was cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he was in the music industry. He's from Chicago. He produces. It's pretty cool. I mean, I hope that's legit, because otherwise I don't know how I can afford a 2015 fucking Mercedes SUV. But anyways,
don't ask questions.
Yeah, I'm not gonna ask that question. I'm just gonna say, hey, cool tattoos. So what wound up happening was we go back out to the RV and it started right back up. It was I'm telling you, it was so weird, crazy. Man. But when I found out what the actual reason was, at the very end of the trip, it's not that weird. There's like kind of a logical explanation from it. It was running too hot. It was vapor locking inside the fuel lines because the fuel line was way too close to the exhaust. So when we were running for a few hours, the heat of the exhaust was then causing the heat of the fuel line to heat up and boil plus altitude, not being tuned for altitude, and the fact that it was 96 degrees outside was causing the fuel to burn hot, boil essentially, turn to vapor lock the line because liquid won't pass through vapor. I get it now, but at the time, dude, it really felt like Buffy was
the odds of that shit really happening
at those key points in time. It was pretty cool, and I don't believe in coincidence anyways, but yeah, so then we get to Denver and everything just got wild. From Denver, everything was just a really crazy experience.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, man.
That's cool. Fucking sweet.
Yeah, it was
That sounds like a hell of an adventure for the
So
first
everything
part
shifted. That was my point. We were supposed to be in Salt Lake City, and it all shifted to Denver. And that's actually crazy because this is where things started getting way more magical, man. Like way more, like not like well, that was kind of cool. It was more like, whoa, this is awesome. Like it's just a whole new league of like you know what I'm saying? Like enthusiasm and experience was just completely different once we got to Denver.
You hit that flow state.
Yeah, man. And once we got to Denver, dude, like started meeting people. We met this guy named Dan Wistrand. He was a 22-year Navy vet. We met him at the Mountain Khakis store. Now, Mountain Khakis has been one of my favorite companies for clothing since I was in the Marine Corps, right?
I don't think I've ever heard of them.
Yeah, they're like a very, not very well known. They're like a Wyoming-based brand out of Jackson Hole. You know, they're like made for ranchers, you know, like dudes who work their ass off and need like durable pants, but not like Carhartt, like the mainstream crap pants.
Me?
Yeah, I mean, you do manual labor. You should look into it.
Well,
dude, they're lightweight. They're articulate.
Labor,
they're great pants. I really enjoy them.
I'll have to look into
I had to throw all mine out because I no longer fit 36s. You know, I'm 32 now, so it's like.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, dude.
You fucking leaned down.
Yeah, I dropped like
proud of
a little
my
over 15 pounds.
36s.
Well, if I had them still, I would have given them to you, but so anyways.
So you sold the RV?
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah.
All right, we'll get back to that.
We will.
So you get to Denver.
Yeah.
And then from there.
Slept 4 nights on the floor at this dude Max's house. He was a great kid. He just moved out to Denver on a whim. Literally just upped and moved from Charleston, South Carolina. And that was Mike's cousin. And
that's a haul.
Yeah, it was he's actually originally from Maine, moved to Charleston, from Charleston out to Denver. And what wound up happening was we slept on his floor for 4 days trying to find out what was wrong with the RV. Meanwhile, going off on these really cool hikes. The first hike we did was, St. Mary's Glacier. And St. Mary's Glacier is a 12,000 foot elevation glacier. Wow. Like you're hiking at 12,000 feet. Like it's not a crazy hike. It's like a 2 mile one way, 2 mile one way hike to the base of the glacier. But there's this really cool like 15 or 20 foot cliff that we jumped off of into this glacially fed pond.
Nice.
And it was the coolest like welcome to Colorado experience I could have imagined. You know, jumped off this cliff, hit the water. Normally when I jump off stuff, I've jumped off plenty of things in my life. I like get up and I scream. And it's cool. I went to scream and all that came out was like. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I could do, man. I couldn't even breathe a deep breath, and so that was cool because I came out of the water and I felt my body wanting to panic, but my mind was like, "No, you're good, man."
It's cold, right?
It was just cold, yeah.
Yeah. That's what you. I was reading your blogs when you posted them up. Like it's fascinating shit. Like
it is.
I wish I could have gone.
Yeah,
like
and that's my goal is I want to share that experience with veterans forever, and not every veteran because. Not every veteran can come for a 30-day trip like that and actually survive. Like that. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It was like a rugged trip. Like we were sleeping in like dirt and like not that I've never slept in this environment before, but like some veterans don't want to do that shit. You know what I mean? Like some veterans don't.
Yeah. And
some veterans can't leave for a month. They have families and kids and jobs. And so like our goal is to make the Vision Quest West trip, the actual pilgrimage west every year, a rite of passage for 9 veterans out of our program every year. And those 9 veterans, when they finish this trip every year, will become team leaders within our program. And they'll come back from the trip and they'll be assigned 2 new subordinates in the teams, the people that they can then teach and follow or teach and lead that will follow them and learn the new processes. And maybe one of those 2 new guys will become one of the 9 candidates for next year's trip.
That's cool
So
stuff.
it's wild.
Let's take a break, cool down.
Cool. We'll get some water.
It's an hour back now. So yeah, something I didn't tell you earlier when I started was there was a point after I dropped out of high school where I was on the road to the end. Mm-hmm. And then randomly this kid showed up at my house that I knew that we hung out. We were friends. This kid shows up at my house, knocks on the door. Hey, you want to come hang out? Yeah, man, let's go hang out. So then him and we got a job together cleaning buses, hung out, basically middleman just to get free weed, like just doing kid shit. And then from that point is how my life got to here. And I can map it out there. Like these last 2 years of becoming more self-aware and knowing who I am and the path that I've been on since then. And now the other side of the change, the next step in the evolution where I was a shitty person. I was a prick. I was an asshole. I was a bully. I was mean. I was angry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
All of it, and now trying it from a love standpoint,
instead of a fear standpoint.
Yeah, and trying to make up for things that I went wrong, and tell the other people like this is the way it should be.
Right. So I actually have two things. One, I don't believe in coincidences and chance. So that guy interacted in your life. That random interaction was not random. It was meant to happen.
Right.
Same thing happened with me and John. It's the same thing that I actually just had with a veteran buddy of mine 2 days ago and yesterday. Like, things are happening the way they're supposed to happen, but they seem like random little interactions. But now imagine if he hadn't come into your life, right?
I probably wouldn't be here. Like, I was sitting,
which means there's a reason that you're still here.
my arm.
There's a reason that was unfulfilled at that point in time in your story that you have yet to fulfill, and that's why you're still here. But I will say that, like I've said in the last episode, there are two emotions that run everything in life. That's fear and love, right? And so for a long time, you were probably mean to people for some sort of underlying latent fear within yourself that you didn't realize. It was manifesting as aggression or just attitude, right? But there was a fear in there, an insecurity or a lack of love deep within yourself that you didn't know. It was subconscious. And then once you were in a place where you can acknowledge that and surrender it and forgive yourself for that chapter, you'll never make up for those things, but all you can do is start fresh. That's how I believe. Like, I fucked up for a lot of people, man. I was really rude to a lot of people. I manipulated people. I was nasty and calloused. I told myself I didn't feel emotion. And I've since actually realized what really happens with me is not that I don't feel emotion, because I'm incredibly empathetic and I can feel when other people are feeling emotion, and I feel my own emotion. But I have more of an attachment to, say, you walking into a room and me sensing that you're off than my own emotion. And it's this weird switch and this kind of decision I do every day. I'll feel everything. I feel like radiant love all the time. But I also feel like anger and sadness and insult and betrayal and all these different things from time to time. And what happens is you make a decision in a split second. And I actually don't know if it's you or if it's your ego. And that's kind of the dilemma of reality, is that once you can figure out how to make this interaction or this decision consciously, you've then at that point killed the ego. I don't know if that's really what it is. That's kind of one of my theories I'm working on. But the idea is you make a decision. So if I feel offended right now, you say something to me that you said something to me, whether it's true or not, doesn't matter, that I feel a little fluffed up, right? My ego starts to, you see this little hand come over my shoulder and grab me and start like leathering up my skin, getting ready to go to battle with you. So that moment, I then acknowledge that it's making me feel that way, but I let it pass through. I don't give it any control over my current state. Those hands start going back down behind my shoulders. My skins get soft again. I kind of let down that guard, right? When people don't understand that, they let those emotions then dictate their life, because otherwise you offend me, my natural reaction is to get mad and get defensive and go back at you, and then we thus create an argument and then create suffering. And so what I think we need to do is, and this is kind of something I've been working on and observing in my own life, is when I feel emotions, I objectively look at them and I survey the situation, and I'm able to slow things down to the point where I'm like, don't react right now. Make a conscious, deliberate decision on what comes next. And that's a really crazy thing. And so I think that for me, that's a really powerful thing. Emotions back then, depression is basically just attachment to a negative emotion, right? Or a negative belief or a negative story that you tell yourself. And so what's happening is you're giving it power. You're giving it attention instead of like looking at it, acknowledging it and honoring it, but letting it go away. And that's something that's really hard to do on your own. Sometimes you need that person to come in your life and yank you out of reality so you don't look at it anymore. Hence, Vision Quest West road trip. That's what this trip was for. It was so that I could go experience Type 1 fun and really solidify my belief that this is what people need. This is what veterans need. And this is what everybody needs. Dude, we're going camping, 2 weeks from now? Like, that's Type 1 fun. It's going to be a blast. Last year was Type 1 fun. Regardless that Alex got his skull crushed in by a 75-pound pipe filled with concrete, it was still an amazingly fun weekend, one that I tell the story about all the time. You know what I mean? Alex tells that story all the time. Like, I couldn't imagine. Like, imagine if that had gone normal. Like, we just got there and set up a tent and like just got pissed on for 3 hours and just went to bed. You know what I mean? Like, that's not fun. That's not something you remember forever. That's just a normal like shitty camping in New Hampshire. You know? And so my point is, like, those moments cause you to live in that, because everybody, when Alex got hit, we all reacted. Everyone reacted in a different way. Everyone did something new, but no one stopped and was just like, you know what I mean? Like,
it brought us together.
Exactly.
Gave us the purpose of doing something.
You guys had a role. You guys were to start like stoke the fire, get that fire going, because it was pissing rain, and we had to get Alex back to some sort of ambulance, some sort of hospital, because I at that point thought his skull was cracked. I saw his skull. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was disgusting and awesome at the same time. And so, but it forced us to be in that moment, and none of us were thinking about taxes or fucking, oh man, did I turn off the stove, or man, I really miss the old days when I was young. Like, no one was thinking about that. We were all in our role, and that's a really cool perk, I think, of like a tribal environment. Tribal environments are so cool, and I think that's the way of the future, man. I think, you know, if everything ever does happen, like World War III, I don't think it's going to affect us as negatively as many people think it's going to affect us. I think instead of having this big overlapping government that provides everything for everybody, we're going to have this type of shit. We're going to have a life where we can be there for each other and support each other and barter and, you know, support. Like, think about tribal atmospheres, right? Where everyone kind of just, they wake up and they do cool stuff every morning. They hang out, they, you know, maybe eat some food, go get out of the sun. Like if a hurricane hit their environment, right? Like it just did in Florida.
It's not as devastating.
It's an annoyance. Yeah. It's like, damn it, man, this sucks, dude. But we're gonna go build it all together. Something that this is actually a concept that Duncan Trussell just talked about in one of his podcasts. He was like, they would get through it. But nowadays, it's like the government has to send out FEMA, all these freaking disaster relief teams go in, and like with all this fancy equipment, and it's like the people that live in those communities could probably unbury themselves in a couple of months to a year, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but at what cost?
No, I'm not saying this is what they should do. I'm just saying, like, it almost takes out that tribal, primal aspect of community because now they're getting the government's going to do it all for them.
Well, that's the capitalism. You can't.
Isn't the first phase looting though? No. Like they get through that process before they start helping each other.
But that's the sign of not a real community.
If
that's
they
like
weren't
not a
at
genuine
jobs, then it's an easier time to help your neighbor build a fence, build his house, build a pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started with a fence. It wasn't. It just happened.
I mean, just who
I want to build
a pool in there. What's that?
I want to build a sweet fence with like repurposed wood. But anyways, I think that like
I know a guy.
And so we should talk after this. The idea is that so when he walked into your life, man, that was that primal tribal instinct that like this person in my tribe is suffering. I need to go be there for him. That's an act of selflessness, and that's an act of pure love. And he probably doesn't know that, and he probably wouldn't admit that because he's probably a guy. And he's like, I don't know anything love.
You know, what's funny is he just got recently married, and I was trying to get a hold of him to come here so I could tell him face to face, because I think I've only that revelation is pretty recent where I actually mapped it out.
That's a good fucking revelation.
And so I brought it out, like I was telling them, and they're like, well, you should tell him. So,
yeah, dude.
So I've been trying to get him here to tell him and say that, but he never came. So I had to send him. I did send a message and just to say, hey, I didn't want to do it this way, but you're not coming over because you're busy and life, whatever. But I wanted you to know. So let's get back to your trip.
Yeah, for sure.
You hit Denver. You start going in the desert.
Yeah, well, no. So we get to Denver, and we turn in the RV to the dealership. I won't name the dealership because I don't want to sound like an asshole, but and they just dropped the ball, man, pretty hard. I dropped it off on a Saturday morning, and they were like, all right, yeah, we'll look at it, and Monday we'll let you know what you need. So Monday comes by, and Sunday, I think we went and did St. Mary's Glacier, so that was cool. My sister's first hike, dude. It was her first hike ever. Like, not even...
Oh, really?
Like, never even hiked in the White Mountains. I mean, my sister's never really had the opportunity. She's not from... Like, my family's not an active family, Like, I went hiking in high school because I went with, like, random dudes I knew throughout the years. Like, buddies I had from baseball or wrestling. And, so long story short, she never had hiked or any of that fun stuff. So, her first hike, dude, was gnarly. Like, she got a nosebleed. Like, she was, like, about to pass out a couple times.
Wow.
But it was a cool, hey, welcome to life. This is reality. Stop living in the world that is created by my parents and crafted by their realities. And she just doesn't know. She doesn't know that any of this stuff exists. She's never, you know what I mean? She's never been dragged up a mountain. So I dragged her up a mountain. And she had a really cool experience, man. The smile on her face, man, I'll never forget it. She was alive for the first time in her life. She was alive. She was challenged. She was overcoming. She was seeing that she was capable of doing some really cool shit, And I'm really proud of her, man. Like,
she's really cute, by the way.
My sister's a cool chick. Yeah, she's dude. She
was not. I was like, huh, that's his sister.
Yeah, right. So my sister is. So her and I are both naturally kind of athletic, right? We kind of pick things up really easily. She had a boyfriend that kind of ruined her for a little while. She's had some really rough relationships. I think it boils down to the fact that she always kind of picks people that are in a similar state to her, but she hides it better than they do. So she relates to them real well. They're struggling people. They have like not broken home, but like a tough home life. And my sister sees my parents. They fight a lot, and she kind of goes to someone that's like similar to her that can understand and relate to her. So I call them project kids. Like they're kids that like are kind of projects. She has to give them work. You know what I mean? It's like fixer uppers. And like. she's had some rough relationships in the past, but this most recent one was a little bit controlling and overwhelming to her. But so she never did anything, you know. And to see her hike for the first time, man, was pretty cool. This is pretty. I get choked up thinking about it because it's like we never did anything together. We never grew up close. We never did shit, you know. She was always the 7 year younger than me kid that hid in her house when I was hanging out with friends and having parties, you know, or like when getting fist fights with my father. She was the one that would just hide under a desk. You know, we never interacted, man, because 7 years, especially that's
a big difference.
Especially in the years that we were in the opportunity, we had an opportunity to even interact. Like when we moved to where we live in Nashua, was from when I was 13 to when I was 18. Right, those are the primary years of us interacting. So she was like 6 to like 11. So like, there's nothing really that a 13-year-old wants to do with a 6-year-old. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's like it was a tough, but like the years that I could have interacted with her most, I was in the Marine Corps. Right, so from when she was 11 to when she was like 15, were pretty strong developmental years that I could have played a bigger role in her life. But I was too busy going to fucking war, dude, and fighting the goddamn miserable good fight, man, doing the right thing for the country, you know. And it's just bullshit, dude. Like, it just sucks that we just got torn farther apart. And so this trip was our first opportunity to do anything together, and we did a lot of stuff together. We lived together for 30 days. It was pretty fucking cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so anyways, the dealership dropped the ball. They told me that I needed an upgraded aftermarket, you know, high performance carburetor, and then a special kind of fuel pump. Like an upgraded fuel pump from the one I just got put in. And I was like, all right, gentlemen, like, what's going on right now, you fuckers? And this is the biggest dealership in Denver. So it was, and there's a celebrity's name attached to it. How do you think it got that way? Right. Well, because, I'll say, John Elway owns the place.
Oh, really?
It's John Elway Chevrolet, yeah.
Wow, no shit.
So, and they, honestly, it wasn't them. It was the first guy I worked with who they let go while I was gone. So, from the day I dropped it off, to the day I got back, somewhere in that period, they let the dude go who was my rep, like the service rep, the guy I was working with. The guy gave me an $1,800 quote for nothing, dude. For literally, it was like, it said customer. So, you know, the parts and labor, like when they give you a quote, they quote the parts.
Yeah. Right.
And like the things that need to be done, the hours of labor that are they're on the books and all that stuff. And all it said was customer complaining of overheating and sputtering at speed. That's all it said.
For $1,800?
Mm-hmm.
So it cost you $1,800 to complain about your radiator.
Yeah. So
what the fuck?
Yeah, so that happened, and I kind of had a weird feeling about it the whole time. So Monday, they're like, "Oh, you need this stuff," and I'm like, "Oh, dude, all right, that's gonna be expensive. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to have that and still make it home. Like, holy shit!" So the next day, I call them. They're like, "Yep, we're ordering you the parts." I'm like, "All right, cool, go for it. We'll find the money. We'll make it happen." You know, and they say they order the parts. All right, 24 hours. We'll have it in on Wednesday. It'll be done by Wednesday night, maybe Thursday morning. Cool, man. Tell my buddy John, hey, buddy, I'll be out in Moab Friday morning. Cool, I'm excited, you know. Actually, no, I said I'll be in Salt Lake City Friday morning because we weren't planning on going through the mountains. We were planning on going north and avoiding the mountains, the crazy mountainous passes. Yeah. And what wound up happening was Thursday comes around and they're like, or Wednesday comes around, they're like, oh, hey, buddy, we forgot to order those parts within the given overnight window. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? Okay, so order the parts, man. What's going on? This is Wednesday. All right, they'll be in here tomorrow. We'll have you done Friday. We'll get you out of here by noon on Friday. Thursday comes up. Brian, my service rep, was out. So I call the main service rep, and I'm like, hey, dude, what's going on, man? Like, why is he giving me this runaround? Oh, I don't even know what's going on. I don't even have any parts to order. There's no actual part numbers. It doesn't even say what I need. It just says you were complaining about some stuff. And I'm like, what? So I go in, and this guy, Chris, took really good care of me. And I was like, Chris, man, like, I need to get the Moab, dude. I have potential business contacts. Like, I have things I need to do. And he's like, if you could find a rental, man, I'll hold this thing for 2 weeks. It's the least I can do. And I was like, all right, cool. So I go on this app called Turo. It's a dope app. You can rent anybody's personal vehicles, and it's awesome.
Kind of like a
it's like Airbnb for cars.
No shit.
It's incredible.
For cars.
I think I've seen that shit on
Shark Tank. On a whim, dude, I literally go and I type in a 2-week window from that Friday to 2 weeks later, right? And I find this truck. It's a Nissan Frontier with a bed cap that rolls up, a bike rack in the back. It's a 4-door Nissan Frontier. It's got 4-wheel drive, but it's like the utilitarian practical model, not like the super fancy one with the spare tire in the bed. It's so nice, right? I'm like, and it's $50 a day, and it has a 1,500-mile window. I'm like, this is a joke, dude, right? Like, there's no way this is available for the dates I need for that cheap a day, and it has a 1,500-mile window because I'm going about 1,500 miles. Like, holy, what are the odds, dude? So I contact him. He approves the trip, Then he cancels the trip a couple hours later, and I'm like, what's going on, man? I need this. So at that point in time, so since in the time it took me to confirm the trip, I'd gone back to the dealership, said, hey, hold my RV for 2 weeks, got all my stuff out of the back of the RV, brought it back to my Max's house, and or no, not Max's house. At this point, we were staying at this girl Sharon's house, and she was cool. She's from Turkey, great host, awesome house, 5-star rating on Airbnb. She was cool. And so we get all our stuff back there. We're using another rental car that I'd used, and I'm like, dude, what do you need, man? Like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, I need it for a couple of days during that window. I'm like, I will literally do whatever it takes. I give my whole life story, why this is happening, why I need to get to Moab. He's like, all right, dude, I appreciate your entrepreneurial experience. Take it. So he approves the trip. So we go pick up this truck the next morning. So Saturday morning, we want to get in the truck, and we just, dude, loaded our entire life into the back of this thing. Every tent, every piece of clothing we needed, everything, man. And hit the road. And we drove west through the mountains instead of going around like we wanted to. And we wound up going through the mountains. Oddly enough, when you get through the mountains, there's this little town called Fruitas, which is right along 70. And a kid I went to deployed with to Iraq lives there now.
Whoa.
Like, a kid from my platoon lives there. And he hits me up and he's like, dude, if you're coming through Fruitas, hit me up. He's like, I'd love to see you. So I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, what? Yeah, that's awesome. Let's go meet up. So we meet up, and dude, the stories we told were stories I haven't even thought about since 2006, man.
That's crazy, dude.
That is
right?
crazy.
Like, just like randomly running into somebody that you were.
I think it was Buffy looking out again.
Dude. Jesus,
That is crazy.
Right. So run into Kelly, who is he started an overland organization. Now, overlanding is something I've been wanting to do for years. That's why I bought a 4Runner. That's why, I have a lifted 4Runner. I actually want to get, a winch and a bumper and a roof basket and all the stuff I need to snorkel.
Yeah, that truck's badass.
I want, eventually, his truck is like the next version of what I want mine to look like in like 3 to 5 years. Only he doesn't have the camping, potential that I want to put on mine. And so, anyways, meet up with him at this little Mexican joint. I had this thing. I didn't eat red meat the whole trip. I think because I didn't eat it. I was trying to think about it. I think we had fish when we were in Iowa. It wasn't steak, but I only ate fish tacos if we went out to eat. That's all I ate. I only ate fish tacos.
Delicious.
And I compared every fish taco that I got in the entire trip, and the best one I got was a place called Rio Grande in Denver, and it was all farm to table organic produce. It was awesome. Super cool restaurant. And
Where do they get their fish from?
Can I just
I don't ask questions, man. I don't know.
Fish tacos, most underrated taco.
It's my favorite thing.
Agree.
It's my favorite thing.
I love fish tacos, and when some people hear fish taco, they're like,
ew.
No way, dude.
And you slap them right in the mouth and you say, you try this fish taco,
if they're made
or you
right.
never speak again.
If they're made right.
Yeah, for sure, dude. But anyways, so Fruitas happens. He tells me about this little town. This is pretty cool. You'll appreciate this. He's like, dude, by the way, man, are you good on gas? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good on gas, man. That's a terrible impression of him, by the way. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good on gas. He's like, all right, dude, just because in case, like, you don't want to stop in this town. I forget the name of the town. But he's like, dude, it's, like, owned by the cartel. And I'm like, fuck off, dude. Like, this isn't Super Troopers, man. Like, he's like, no, for real, man. He's like, the signs even say, like, no outlet. Don't stop here.
Wow.
And I'm like,
what? That's like
so
back in the day.
Right, I kind of didn't believe him. I was like, okay. So
You've
the story
avoided every horror movie scenario just by having like an Airbnb for vehicles and like talking.
Everywhere that this trip could have potentially gone wrong, it went right. It was beautiful, right? So that's why I don't believe in coincidence. It was like this trip was exactly what it needed to be, when it needed to be there, or when it needed to be like that. You know what I mean? And so, anyways, he tells me about this little town. So as we're driving through, he tells me this story. He's like, dude, there's if you pull off, there's one little corner store. It's like a gas station, but it's not open overnight. And just behind this gas station is this giant berm. On the far side of the berm is like a 500-yard landing strip that the cartel uses to bring drugs in and out of Colorado.
Jesus,
and
dude.
Apparently, this is what he said. He said the bum scoot is that they're buying out dispensaries in Fort Collins because they're losing so much money that they're trying to go legit, but it's not legit because it's not legitimately U.S. grown pharmaceutical grade and inspected. They're just selling stuff under the guise of that. So it's very interesting. It was a very interesting conversation about it. And sure enough, when we drove through, this town had signs right on the outlet, like professional, like not even like someone wrote no outlets. Like it was like part of the state was like, you don't want to go here, dude. Like,
yeah, that was. I mean, that was like New
driving.
York. That was like the Bronx in New York.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, driving by, it's like don't get off this exit between this time and this time. Like, but it's like a government street sign that says, "Yeah, you don't want to fucking come here."
That makes me want to go there even more.
Yeah.
I'm like, how cool would it be to get a bunch of our Marine buddies together and like arm everybody up and go take over that landing strip and say, hey guys, we want 50% of your cut or we're gonna kill you all. You know, a bunch of Marines like taking over a cartel, but they're no way, dude. The cartels are ruthless.
Yeah,
those fuckers will gut you and like literally cut off your kid's head.
Oh, it was
That's
like
fucked up.
the El Chapo's kid or whatever.
Yeah, dude, no way.
They killed 4.
what?
So El Chapo.
Yeah, I know who it is.
So his kid was at
Master
some
escapist.
resort in or went to some resort in Mexico where there were these 4 kids that were fucking on Instagram pretending like they were cartel. So El Chapo
Just rich kids.
Oh yeah. So El Chapo was like, nah, fuck that. Sent dudes there and they fucking killed them.
Yeah,
Like literally 19-year-olds fucking,
And then
a couple of
posted it to their
19-year-old
Instagrams.
That's
That's how the cartel rolls.
Yeah, sent their tongues to their mom.
Yeah.
But
this is what happens. That's fucked up.
dude, what a trip, man.
Yeah.
What?
And that's
Yeah.
not even all of it yet,
That's,
dude.
that's
Like, it gets even weirder.
It's like
It gets even weirder.
insane. Like,
I'm not going to lie. We may have to do a part 2.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm down for part 2.
Yeah.
Because there's got to be so much more.
This is just the
trip to
Colorado,
this.
man. They're still in Utah and there's still Wyoming and then Colorado part 2.
Oh, we're doing a part 2 on this.
Yeah,
so
it's been crazy.
just for anybody who's listening.
I really got to because I can really only upload like an hour. Like we can go a little bit longer, but I can really only upload an hour to stay in the megabytes to upload an episode every week.
Yeah.
Why don't we wrap it up? We got to definitely do a part 2.
There's definitely a part 2.
If you're only at Denver, and I mean, it was
this
a
is
month.
just, yeah, this is as you're
It's a
crossing the
month,
border.
dude.
Yeah,
Just
what are we 10 days in
coolest-
at this point?
About
we're
10
doing
days,
3
yeah.
episodes.
So the crazy part was this was
This is the craziest.
so I'd already
adventure.
had like a stimulating experience in Denver and in Colorado in the Rocky Mountains because I didn't even get to talk about Sky Pond, which was, dude, it was like a 9-mile round trip into a high alpine glacial lake. Like it was the coolest.
That's
it was
the perfect cliffhanger
It was
right there.
dope, right? No, the best part of it was this is as we're driving out of Colorado at night in the cover of darkness. We pull into Moab, dude. And I had no idea what to expect when
What
we
does
woke
Moab
up.
stand for?
I don't even. It's just called Moab.
Mother of all bombs. That's all.
Yeah,
That's,
for
that's
sure,
the only
yeah.
thing I know. So
But mother of all biceps. I'm just kidding. But that was a reference to Kung Fury. But so the idea was we pulled into Moab and we got to BLM, Bureau of Land Management, public camping grounds, and just pulled over, gutted the back of the truck, and went to sleep. Right? It was like 11:30 at night. When we woke up in the morning, dude, that's when like magic started, like actual magic.
That's where part 2 is probably going to happen up.
Cool. Yeah.
You might run and grab those victories.
For sure.
So I grabbed victory for tonight
Nice.
from Abel because I figure
So you guys,
you had a victory, man.
yeah,
like,
dude, huge victory. Huge victory.
That's so crazy, dude.
but,
Like
yeah.
that shit trips me out. That's dope, man. I'm glad it went the way that it needed to go.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like not what you were
Yeah.
looking for, but what it from what you've read, the pictures, and talking to you now, like how it needed to be.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I also talked to I don't know if you've been listening to the podcast.
Yeah, I've listened as much as I can. Yeah.
So episode 8, we did a Q&A, and one of the questions, if you didn't listen to the episode, I'll just fill you in quick, is somebody asked me about a rap career that I had mentioned on Carl's episode. And so I went into that, and at the end I did a song off of my album.
He's noting that.
Yeah, so
No, right now my buddy Doc Todd.
Oh yeah, so I'm getting there. So a friend of mine told me, "Hey, dude, you should put one of your songs on every episode." And well, one, I'm not going to do that because I'm not here for that. That was a different life. That was a different path. That road stopped. I'm on this road. But it got me thinking I love fucking underground music, man.
Yeah,
like not the mainstream shit, hip hop, fucking everything. I listen to everything. It started with the hip hop, so I'm gonna push that as much as I can for now until I find that other sound. I reached out to Doc and I'm like, listen, I know we only know each other through Troy, and we don't officially know each other, but I wanted to reach out to you and say, I have a podcast. We recently started featuring songs at the end, and Troy's coming on this week. And I figured, giving the topic of why you were here, your adventure, and what you had going, that it only made sense to me to have one of his songs featured.
Well, yeah.
So,
that's awesome,
his song "Not Alone."
It's funny. I was telling that guy, Brian Marsh, the director from Chicago,
Yeah.
with the owl tattoo, Infinite Wisdom.
That's so crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's weird, yeah. And you know how normal people have like teardrop tattoos? He had music note tattoos. Pretty cool. But I told him about Doc Todd. I'm like, hey man, if you ever get a chance and you hear the name Doc Todd, you know, say what's up, because I mean he's passionate, man. Doc Todd is passionate.
He's good. Like it's I like his songs. I will play it for you. If you find Doc Todd on Facebook, on Spotify, on everything, like look him up. He's combat medicine. He's a Navy combat medic that does hip hop and is trying to get other veterans to do like his cover art and designs and stuff for him. And I like that. I like seeing that. Yes, it's about veterans, that they need that outlet, they need to know, but a lot of people battle with depression that are just getting put on pills instead of figuring out the purpose.
Yeah, man.
And if we can get all of them to a purpose and start building that community and realizing that we're all together, I mean, that's what it's about. So yes, I'm not a veteran, but I know what it's like to make music from trying to
life
make music
experience.
from then. Right. That's why I'm like, as soon as he put out that first song, I fucking shared that shit because it was good.
Yeah, it's good.
Like man, I can't say I know what you've been through. I'm willing to listen if you want to talk about it, but
dude, I haven't been through half of a fraction of what most people have been through. A lot of veterans have been through. You know, I've been through what I've been through, and it was my own experience, you know. But there are people out there who've been through much, much worse. And like I said before, it's such a dynamic atmosphere where for some people that's okay. You know, they're fine. Some people have amazing outlets. Like my buddy Mike Mendoza he's breaking the Ironman triathlon record right now.
Wow!
Like I'll share his link tonight. Just a rugged. And this dude also got hit by a hand grenade and lost like half his spleen.
Jesus!
And it was also, I believe his silver star was actually just upgraded to a Navy Cross. You ever seen the show Generation Kill?
Nope.
You've never seen it?
No.
So Generation Kill was about.
So
Generation Kill was an HBO show on some Marines during the invasion of Iraq. Some first reconnaissance Marines on the invasion of Iraq.
Is it still on there?
You can find it anywhere, man. You can watch it on YouTube if you want.
Nice.
It's a dope show.
So it's been out for a while.
It's been out for a long time. Yeah. It was about his unit. His unit was he was in First Reconnaissance Battalion, and he went through some wild shit. Like, you want to talk about some people that have seen some crazy ass shit? Mike Mendoza is a dude who's seen some crazy ass shit, and he's actually on this huge tangent right now to break the world record for, I think it's number of Ironman triathlons, and so he's doing really well.
Good for him.
He was actually in Denver when I was in Denver. How weird is that?
Dude, what the fuck?
But we didn't get to link up. We didn't get a chance to link up.
No, but
that
still,
RV
the fact that you were like,
butterfly effect right
like
there.
you said, the synchronicity of shit that has happened, it's insane.
Yeah,
but it's like I don't.
Well, it paints
you don't believe
picture.
in coincidence.
So right now in the story,
because
you guys haven't heard the next 3 chapters. There's actually a chapter still in development right now. I don't want to tell you guys right now, but you know, there's still so much that hasn't tied back in yet. Because everywhere I went, the experiences bounced back to Denver or bounced back to Iowa or had this crazy overlap. And everything was part of a bigger picture, which was now my understanding of this company, and which eventually I can't even really explain. That there's a reason I haven't blogged yet about my Wyoming phase, that chapter of the story, because I haven't found the words yet. And I'm a pretty articulate, well-spoken person, and I haven't found the words for my experience, primarily with the eclipse being where we were.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. If you guys experienced anything, but we'll wait for the next one.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
God damn it.
But I want to know about that one.
Yeah, so
there was some freaks out then.
See, that's another reason why I'm searching for sponsors.
And we were in 100% totality for 2.5 minutes.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so it was. I mean, that was an experience that my best way of describing it is that like the parts of me that were no longer serving this new purpose in life, this new version of me, literally died. They died, and when the eclipse was in totality, the new part of me came to life. A new version of me that I don't know how to explain came to life. You know, and that's basically kind of how the best words I've found to describe it at this point where I am. But I'm gonna blog about it over the next couple of weeks and share that experience because I have to, you know, because it's important. That's that moment is the experience that I wanted to share with veterans for the rest of my life. With people anyways, but primarily veterans because, like I said before, they're in a really dark place, and I think that if I can help 9 veterans every year have that experience, and then replicate as close to that experience as possible every month with our monthly retreats here in New Hampshire or in New England, I should say. That makes me happy. I don't care about money. I don't care about anything else. As long as I make enough to like support my family and support my lifestyle habits, I don't give a shit about money, man. I want to provide experiences for people that they can't find anywhere else, you know, and that's the goal of the new company.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways,
dude, that's fucking so cool. So the beer of the week is Victory because
it sounds like
you had a victory.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate it.
This is my favorite beer right now.
Victory? Yeah, I'm a Burn the Ships fan. If I still drank, that would be what I would drink. Because Burn the Ships.
Oh no, it's definitely tasty.
But no, I like the theme. Definitely a victory. And it's funny because this trip wasn't even a victory for me. People don't realize it yet, but this is a victory for everyone that I know, like, and even people I don't know. You know, like I have some pretty lofty goals and crazy plans right now that are all already unfolding. Everything's already happening. I haven't made half the stuff public yet. The new company's at a point right now where it's going to be massive. Like, it's going to change the lives of many, 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 many veterans.
That's awesome.
So I'm excited.
I'm excited for you.
Thanks, man.
I'm excited for you too.
Thanks.
That's awesome. And I'm really glad, like I said earlier, I'm really glad you came back in, talk about your trip.
Yeah.
This is some interesting shit right
Definitely
here.
going to be a part 2.
Yeah, for sure.
And possibly 3. Depends on how much shit.
Yeah,
I love to talk.
Dude,
so
for sure.
Yeah, I love to share stories. I'm a storyteller. That's what I do.
Oh, it's awesome.
Cool.
Well, here we are.
You got anything to add? You were awfully quiet throughout the whole thing.
I'm really interested in what happened on his trip, and just like I just want to say thank you for coming back in, coming in. If you haven't listened to his first episode, definitely go back and check it out. It leads up to some good shit into this one.
Yeah,
so
for sure. That was like the scared young boy that was going on this little tiny quest in the mountains, and this guy came back as like a Navajo warrior. It's ready for the future.
Yeah.
How crazy is this, dude?
There's the evolution.
Here's the last part I'm gonna tell you. Speaking of Vision Quest, I met a kid named Itzcuali who was an Aztec, like from Mexico, who has like from Aztec lineage. He's never cut his hair. He was 14 years old, and he had gone on a Vision Quest that year.
That's pretty awesome.
He'd gone on an actual 4-day Vision Quest where he was starved. Like he wasn't able to eat for these 4 days. He was in the mountains, and I want to say he was in Wyoming. Yeah, he was in like the Wind River Reservation in Wyoming.
I feel like a late bloomer.
Dude, dope movie. If you have time, is Wind River. Watch Wind River. Sick movie. But he went on a Vision Quest, and he said on the 4th day he started to walk down. He couldn't even create the strength to walk down the mountains. His father had to come find him and carry him down the mountain.
That's
he was
crazy.
But he's like, I know my purpose now. I understand my role in this life. I'm like, dude, I've never met someone that went on an actual authentic like Native American Vision Quest. That's fucking badass. And you're an Aztec. His name is Itzcuali. I have his name on my phone somewhere, but he knew all these crazy stories, man. It was cool. It was pretty cool.
I can't wait to hear more about it.
Me
so
too.
much more to share.
When we get to the Wyoming chapter,
Part 2, hold on to your butts.
it's a good way to end.
this.
Thanks for coming, bud.
Thanks for having me, man. My
Fuck
pleasure.
yeah, dude. Anytime.
Always
every
welcome.
time.
Off the record, I just want to say.
And there you have it, folks. I don't know what else is going to happen, but I cannot tell you how excited I am to hear the rest of this adventure. I feel it's going to be amazing revelations, and I just can't wait to hear how it goes. Next week, part 2, like I said, 3 and possibly 4 will be out in the future. Now here is Doc Todd's I'm Not Alone. I felt this song was fitting given the nature of what they are both trying to do in their own way, and I'm sure somehow they will link up. But here it is, Not Alone.
The struggle is real, found a feast and lost a soul. Eventually my drinking, it got out of control. There in darkness I roam, struggling to find home. See, suddenly death didn't feel so alone. 22 a day, destination unknown. It could have been avoided if you picked up the phone, but now you're gone, so I guess all we get is the tone. Nothing but bone weeds, overgrown, pushing up stones. I've triumphed over enemies, co-created enemies. Broke out facilities that tried to put an end to me. R.I.P. I'd rather grind in tranquility. Authentic tendency, embrace my ability.
Oh, I try so hard to have faith.
Amen.
I bow my head and I pray.
Keep praying.
Lord, please let me the strength to carry on and keep standing.
Stand up.
How this life so demanding, so much pain on this planet. I hurt each time I wait,
Tell 'em, man.
but with you I'm not alone.
Not alone. You're not alone.
Oh yeah, and every time that I fall I'ma call on you, get myself back up again.
Without my Georgia girls, yeah, I'd probably be dead. Cause I'd be taking every nail that the VA said. Gave every shred, every last thread of my identity. Conquer my fragility, eliminate the enemy. Deliver me, God, from temptation. Tell me that this life is just a matrix. Need a facelift, back to basics. Vision LASIX, I only feel alive when I hear the bass kick.
Oh, I try so hard to have faith.
Amen.
I bow my head and I pray.
Keep praying.
Lord, please let me the strength to carry on and keep pain, I need plenty. I hurt each time I wake, but with you I'm not alone.
Not alone. Yeah, you're not alone.
Oh yeah. And every time that I fall, I'ma call on you, pick myself back up again.
Yeah, just pick up the phone, you're not alone. Just pick up the phone, you're not alone, man. Just pick up the phone, you're not alone. Man, pick up the phone, I'm right here. And I love you guys. Take those bottles out, dog, and pour them in the sink. Take the needles out your arm and the gun away from your forehead. It's time, man, you've been through enough pain, stand up. It's time to stand back up. All my veterans, man, Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard. Get up, you know.